Today I'm going to be reading from Galatians 2:15 to 21. I'm going to be reading from the NIV. Verse 15. We who are Jews by birth and not Gentile sinners know that a man is not justified by observing the law, but by faith in Jesus Christ. So we too have put our faith in Christ Jesus, that we may be justified by faith in Christ and not by observing the law. Because by observing the law, no one will be justified. If while we seek to be justified in Christ, it becomes evident that we ourselves are sinners, does that mean that Christ promotes sin? Absolutely not. If I rebuild what I destroyed, I prove that I am a lawbreaker. For through the law, I died to the law, so that I might live for God. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not set aside the grace of God, for if righteousness could be gained through the law, Christ died for nothing. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for bringing us all here and giving me the opportunity to speak on this passage. I pray that we would all have open hearts and that you would just speak through me and only say what you want me to say. In your name I pray, amen. So I would like everyone to close their eyes. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a cliff. Underneath the cliff is a rushing river with a whole bunch of rocks in it. And on the other side of the river, there's another cliff. You realize that if you fell into the river, you would probably die. When you look up to the other cliff, you see Jesus. He's standing there. All of a sudden, you have this huge urge to just be with him. You call out to Jesus, Jesus, but he doesn't hear you. So, you look around for a way to get to him. At first, you think that maybe if you backed up far enough, you could jump over the river and get to the other cliff where Jesus is at. But when you continue thinking about it, you conclude that's probably not a safe option. You'd probably fall. Then, as you're looking around, you see a huge tree branch, and you're thinking, maybe I could lay this across the opening between both of the cliffs above the river. But as you pick up the branch and bring it to the side, it falls into the river. It's not strong enough and it's not long enough. As you continue looking around, you find a rope. This rope, you imagine, could be tied to the tree on the edge of the cliff where you're standing. You think that maybe if you hung it off the side of the cliff, you could climb down, swim across the river, and climb back up the other side of the cliff. So this is what you begin to do. You tie the rope to the tree, you throw it off the side of the cliff, and you begin climbing down. But now you're really scared. You realize as you're climbing down that if you fall, you will die. This fear scares you so much and makes you panic so much that you fall. And as you're falling, your foot gets caught in the rope, a knot forms, and now you're just hanging in the air. Open your eyes. All believers are not justified by the works of the law, but by their faith in Jesus. Justified means that you're declared or made righteous in the sight of God. You're not made righteous by the works of the law. You're made righteous by your faith in Jesus. Righteous or righteousness is freedom from guilt or sin. The only way to be free from guilt or sin is through your faith in Jesus. Obeying the law, being good, doing good things, none of that will free you. True freedom is found in the salvation that you have in Jesus. When Jesus died and rose again, he gave you the opportunity to have a relationship with him, to become justified and made righteous through your faith and trust in him. He took the penalty for your sin so that you could be set free and declared not guilty. Okay, so today you're driving home from church, from this place, and you are supposed to stop at the stop sign that you see in front of you. However, when you're looking around, no cars are coming, so you think, okay, I'm just going to drive through. No one will know. However, what you didn't realize is there was a police behind you. And so after you drive through the stop sign, the police pulls you over and gives you a ticket for breaking the law. They gave you a penalty for your sin. However, I hear about what happened, and I decide, because I love you and I don't want you to pay that penalty, I'm going to take it from you. So I take your ticket and I go pay for your sin, for the law that you broke. I pay the penalty, so I set you free and declared you not guilty. This is exactly what Christ has done for all believers. All believers are dead to the law. We're crucified with Christ, and we're alive by our faith in Jesus. What this means is believers are not bound by the law. We're not bound by any of it. But because of the ability to live for God, because of our faith in Jesus, we have the ability to live for God because of Jesus' sacrifice. All believers were crucified with Christ, and they no longer exist. They're alive by their faith in him. Since we're crucified with Christ, each individual no longer exists, but they are created new. Their old self died, and their new self is the identity of Jesus, because Christ now lives in them. We are called to live in a way that resembles the life of Jesus. Our faith in Jesus, who sacrificed his life out of love. Faith can be difficult to understand. Some common questions that could be asked by someone who doesn't believe in Jesus or who is struggling with their faith are, how am I supposed to believe in or trust someone that I've never seen? How do you know God is real if you've never seen him? How can you have faith that he'll save you from death when people on this earth are dying every day? These are very good questions. Someone who asks these questions would probably answer no if you asked them if they had faith. However, everyone exhibits faith. You need faith to do everything. The chairs you're sitting in, you had faith to sit in them because you believed that when you sat down, it would hold you up. This was not a conscious decision you made. It's just something that you've done every day. You have faith in the object will hold you up and keep you from getting hurt. When you set an alarm before you go to bed, you have faith that that alarm will wake you up the next morning. When the sun sets at night, you have faith that it will rise again. It has never crossed your mind that you should be worried that the sun won't rise the next day because it's done it your entire life. Everyone has faith, and everyone puts their faith in something every single day. What or who you put your faith in will determine your eternal destination. Verses 17 and 18 ask the question, is Jesus promoting sin because believers aren't bound by the law? Jesus is not promoting sin. Jesus is saying that we're justified by faith. This means that we're made righteous. We're not under judgment by the law. We're set free and declared not guilty. If Jesus were promoting sin, then that he conquered on the cross, then that would make Jesus a sinner. If Jesus was a sinner, then he would not be eligible to be the perfect sacrifice that he was. He would not be eligible to save us from our sins, and we would have no way to have a relationship with God. Earlier, I gave the illustration about you running the stop sign and getting a ticket and me paying the penalty for your ticket. I took the penalty so you wouldn't have to bear the burden. Because I took the penalty does not mean I promote your sin or breaking the law. It does not make me a sinner either. I don't promote it, and I did not sin by paying that ticket. But through my action of bearing the burden and taking the penalty onto myself, I'm just setting you free from that bondage. I'm declaring you justified and righteous. All believers are made righteous through the grace of God and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Righteousness cannot be gained through the law. If it could, Christ died for nothing. All believers are separated from God because of sin. But God created humans for relationship. In order to restore that relationship, a sacrifice was needed, and that sacrifice was Jesus. There needed to be a bridge between humanity and God. The incarnation, death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus was that bridge between humanity and God that was needed. Because of sin, we all deserve hell. But because of the grace of God, humanity has the opportunity to have faith in his grace and to allow Jesus' death and resurrection to pay the penalty for our sin. Righteousness is gained through the grace of God. It is only available after the sacrifice of Jesus, after you believe in the sacrifice of Jesus. Without the grace of God and without the sacrifice of Jesus, there's no way to have a relationship with him. I would like everyone to close your eyes again. I want you to imagine that you were exactly where you were before. You're standing on that cliff. There's the river underneath you. There's rocks in the river. It's going so fast. And then there's that other cliff on the other side where Jesus is standing. You call out to Jesus. But this time you don't just say his name. You say, Jesus, I need you. I've tried everything I can to get to you. Nothing has worked. Jesus hears you this time. After this, you see that Jesus is picking up a piece of wood that you hadn't noticed standing next to him before. At first you think, I've already tried this. I've already tried lighting the bridge. The branch fell, so you call this out. Jesus, I've already tried. It's not going to work. He doesn't listen to you. He picks up what you now notice as the cross, walks over to the edge of the cliff, lays it across both cliffs between the openings. It fits perfectly. It stretches from one side to the other. He did it. He made a path to himself. But it doesn't stop there. Jesus begins walking over the bridge that he just created. He reaches where you are. He takes your hand, and he walks back across the bridge with you. Every way you tried to get to Jesus failed you. However, when you called out to him and asked for help, he made a way. Open your eyes. Nothing you do can save you. Only your faith in Jesus' sacrifice on the cross, his death, and his resurrection. The belief in all of that is able to save you.